defiance of the superintendent's orders to ring her when he was at work. As he yawned again, Marmion decided that on balance the telephone was more of a blessing than a nuisance.
"So Chat rang you in person, did he?"
asked Keedy.
"Oh, yes. I'd never mistake that voice of his. He spends more time in his office than he does at home. Doesn't he ever go to bed? He has 4 children, Joe, so he must have climbed between the sheets at some point in time."
Keedy laughed. He was about to make a ribald comment, but decided against it. Engaged to Marmion's daughter, he had to be careful when indulging in coarse banter, in case his future father-in-law got hold of the wrong idea. As it happened, there was no time to poke fun at the superintendent's private life because, after turning a corner, the car slowed down and pulled up outside the hotel. They got out of the vehicle to find that they were in a quiet back street in one of the more prosperous parts of Chelsea. The Lotus Hotel had a relatively narrow frontage and looked at first glance to be identical to the houses either side of it. Marmion's first impression was that there was something almost apologetic about it, as if it was concealing its real identity. A small brass plate bearing its name was the only indication that it was actually a hotel. Before they could go into the building, someone came out to greet them. He was a tall, slim, excessively well-groomed man in his 40s who seemed to glide along.
"Thank goodness you're here at last," he said, with evident relief. "I'm Rex Chell, the manager. Please come inside." He hustled the pair of them into the lobby, as if anxious to get them out of sight. Once inside, they realized that the hotel was an optical illusion. It seemed to grow in size before their eyes and open out in all directions as it incorporated adjacent buildings. There was a pervading air of opulence. While Marmion performed the introductions, Keedy was appraising the manager. Poised and well-spoken, Chell was quite immaculate. He explained the situation smoothly and succinctly. Marmion took over. "So it was Miss Jenks who actually made the discovery?" "Yes, Inspector," said Chell. "Where is she now?" "The girl is in my office, still shaking like a leaf, I dare say."
"We'll need to take a statement from her in due course, and from the night porter. He was the person who contacted the police."
"When he'd done that, he got in touch with me."
"What did you advise?"
"The first thing he had to do," said Chell sternly, "was to pull himself together. And then he was to console Miss Jenks. I got here as quickly as I could to deal with the emergency. Restoring calm was my first priority. We can't possibly have turbulence at the Lotus."
"You may not be able to avoid it, sir."
"Nothing must damage our ethos."
"A Home Office pathologist will be arriving soon," said Marmion. "Unless you sneak him in through the back door, someone is going to notice him."
"Can't you just spirit the body away before the guests start to wake up properly?"
"We need to establish the cause of death first, sir."
"I can tell you that, Inspector. The woman died of natural means."
"How do you know?"
"I examined her myself." "Are you a qualified doctor?" asked Keedy pointedly. "I was very thorough, Sergeant." "There's not a mark on her."
"I beg leave to doubt that, sir."
"Why don't you let us be the judges?" suggested Marmion.
"I suspect that we've had a lot more experience of dealing with dead bodies than you have." Chell gave a reluctant nod of agreement, then led them upstairs and along a corridor. There was no danger of their waking other guests, because the pile on the carpet was thick. Using a master key, the manager let them into the room, then locked it behind them. Marmion and Keedy had their first look at the woman who deprived them of any breakfast that morning. Pale, lean, and well-dressed, she was still stretched out in the undignified position into which she'd fallen. Only one side of her face was visible. Keedy knelt down to examine her, moving her slightly from time to time.
"You see," said Chell, as if he'd been vindicated. "No blood,